Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. The polished mahogany doors of the Legacy Polo Club loomed ahead, their brass handles gleaming under the midday sun. Pak Yong-sik adjusted the cuffs of his navy suit, his expression unreadable. For a man who had built an empire from the ground up, today should have been nothing more than a formality. Yet he knew better. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of aged leather and arrogance. A dozen board members sat in a semicircle in the private lounge, their gazes shifting between each other as Pak Yong-sik took his seat opposite them. Richard Gilbert, the chairman, leaned forward with an air of practiced politeness. "Mr. Pak," Gilbert began, his voice smooth but lacking warmth, "we appreciate your interest in Legacy Polo Club. However, after careful consideration, the board has decided not to extend an invitation for membership." A slight pause. Pak Yong-sik steepled his fingers, his face betraying nothing. "May I ask on what grounds?" Gilbert exchanged glances with another member, Charles Whitmore, before responding. "We maintain a certain legacy here. Membership is traditionally extended to those with a long-standing history in equestrian sports. Your application, while impressive, does not align with our club's culture." Culture, a carefully chosen word, not wealth, not success, but a thinly veiled reference to something unspoken yet clear as crystal. Pak Yong-sik nodded slowly. "I see." He rose, buttoning his suit jacket. "Thank you for your time." He turned without another word, striding toward the exit. Jun-ho, his son, stood waiting outside, his brow furrowed. "That was fast," he remarked, falling into step beside his father. "They rejected you." Pak Yong-sik's lips curled into a faint smile, as expected. Jun-ho's hands balled into fists. "It's ridiculous. You could buy this place 10 times over." Pak Yong-sik stopped in his tracks, gazing at the pristine polo field beyond the clubhouse windows. "Indeed, I could, and I already have." Jun-ho blinked. "What do you mean?" His father's smile deepened, his eyes alight with something unreadable. "Legacy Polo Club's mortgage has been in default for months. I acquired the debt weeks ago. In 2 days, the foreclosure notice will arrive." Jun-ho inhaled sharply. "You planned this?" "They believe they can dictate who belongs and who doesn't." Pak Yong-sik turned to face his son fully. "But when you own the ground beneath their feet, it is you who decides." Pak Yong-sik sat in his office, the city skyline stretching beyond the glass walls, a silent witness to the culmination of his calculated strategy. A single manila folder rested on his polished desk. Inside it, a foreclosure notice, already signed, dated, and ready for delivery. "Jun-ho," he called, his deep voice slicing through the stillness. His son entered, dressed in a crisp navy suit. Though his usual confidence was laced with hesitation. "You're really going through with this?" Jun-ho asked, placing both hands on the desk as he studied his father's expression. "This isn't about revenge," Pak Yong-sik replied calmly, steepling his fingers. "It's about principle. They rejected me not for lack of merit, but for the color of my skin. I will not beg for a seat at their table. I will own it." Jun-ho sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "I understand, but Legacy Polo Club isn't just a place for old money snobs. There are players, workers, staff, families who depend on it." Pak Yong-sik's gaze was steady. "I'm not tearing it down. I'm reshaping it. Those who belong will stay. Those who cling to outdated privilege will fall." A knock at the door interrupted them. His legal advisor, Mr. Han, entered, holding a leather portfolio. "It's time," he said. "Shall I proceed with delivery?" Pak Yong-sik gave a slight nod. "Send it directly to Richard Gilbert. I want to see how long it takes for them to start panicking." At Legacy Polo Club, the afternoon sun bathed the manicured fields in gold. Inside the grand oak-paneled boardroom, Richard Gilbert reclined in his leather chair, swirling a glass of scotch, unaware that his empire was about to crumble. When the receptionist entered with an envelope marked urgent, he waved her off dismissively. Later, "Sir," the messenger insisted. Frowning, Gilbert snatched the envelope and tore it open. His eyes flickered over the words "Notice of Foreclosure." The blood drained from his face. "What in hell is this?" he bellowed. Other board members looked up in alarm as he slammed the document onto the table. He reread it, hands trembling. "Pak Yong-sik, that son of a..." He gritted his teeth. "Get my lawyer, now." An hour later, a frantic emergency meeting was underway. Board members muttered anxiously, their arrogance replaced by fear. We have a deal with the bank," stammered one. "No," Richard snapped. "Apparently, our mortgage was bought out by him." Silence. Then a single voice broke through. George Whitmore, the oldest member of the board, leaned forward. "This is a declaration of war." Richard exhaled sharply, his mind racing. Pak Yong-sik's move had been played, and the game was only beginning. The Legacy Polo Club's boardroom was in chaos. Papers littered the long mahogany table, half-empty glasses of scotch and untouched cigars sat abandoned as the room's most powerful men grappled with their worst nightmare. Their club, was slipping from their grasp. Richard Gilbert paced furiously, his tie loosened, his face red with anger. 36 hours, he muttered under his breath, slamming a fist against the table. 36 hours to come up with $130 million. This is insanity. George Whitmore, the oldest and most influential member of the board, leaned forward, his wrinkled hands folded. "No," he said gravely. "This is Pak Yong-sik's endgame." A heavy silence fell over the room. "The bastard played us," sneered Thomas Langley, a real estate mogul. "We turned him down, and he already owned our mortgage. This wasn't business. This was a setup." Richard's jaw clenched. He knew Langley was right. Pak Yong-sik had planned this. The rejection was never about being excluded. It was about pulling the rug out from under them. "We need investors," someone muttered. Richard turned sharply. "Oh, really? Investors? You think people are going to throw $130 million at us in a day and a half? When word gets out that we're on the brink of collapse?" He laughed bitterly. "Face it, nobody's bailing us out." "Then what do you suggest?" Whitmore asked, his voice low. Richard ran a hand through his graying hair, his mind racing. He had spent years ensuring Legacy Polo Club remained exclusive, a sanctuary for the elite. Now, the very walls they had built were closing in on them. His phone buzzed, a new email. He opened it and his stomach churned. From Pak Yong-sik. Subject: Legacy Polo Club. Final offer. Richard scanned the message, his fury mounting with every line. That arrogant, he inhaled sharply and looked up at the others. "He's offering a choice," Richard said through gritted teeth. "Either we raise the money." He threw the phone onto the table, letting the others read the damning words themselves, "or we accept his terms, a full restructuring." Langley snatched the phone, reading quickly, his face twisted in disgust. "He wants us out. No more old money legacy rule, no more hand-picking members. He's turning the club into a merit-based institution. He practically spat the next words. Public Polo Academy. Murmurs of shock and outrage filled the room. "He's tearing down everything we built," Whitmore whispered. Richard took a deep breath, his hands tightening into fists. "We're not going down without a fight." His voice was steel. "Find the money. Call in favors. Whatever it takes." But as the hours ticked by, one thing became clear. No one was coming to save them. And Legacy Polo Club's old world was crumbling, piece by piece. Pak Yong-sik stood at the head of the long conference table, his expression calm, composed. Across from him sat the board members of the Legacy Polo Club, defeated, silent. The 36-hour deadline had passed. No funds had been raised. The club was his. Richard Gilbert, his face pale with barely contained rage, gritted his teeth. "You won, Pak. What now? Going to bulldoze the clubhouse?" Pak's lips curved into a knowing smile. "No, Richard, I'm going to fix what's broken." He turned, pressing a button on the remote in his hand. The projector screen flickered to life, revealing the plans. A state-of-the-art polo academy, modernized stables, a new membership structure based on talent and dedication, not wealth and heritage. And most importantly, a diverse group of investors, all once rejected by the club, now sitting in the wings, ready to fund its transformation. You call this fixing? Thomas Langley scoffed. This is an insult to legacy. Pack met his glare. Legacy was never about the sport. It was about power, privilege, exclusion that ends today. Gilbert exhaled sharply. And if we refuse? Pack leaned in, voice cold as steel. Then pack your things. The old legacy is gone. Silence. Then Whitmore, the eldest member, sighed. It seems, gentlemen, we are relics of a past that no longer holds power. He looked at Pack, nodding begrudgingly. Do what you must. Pack straightened. I already have. The final hour arrived. Pack Yong Sik stood by the clubhouse window, watching as the last remnants of the old legacy polo club crumbled. Board members shuffled out, their expressions a mixture of bitterness and defeat. Richard Gilbert lingered at the door, gripping the brass handle as if reluctant to let go. You've destroyed everything, he said, voice hollow. Pack turned to face him, unshaken. No, Richard, I've rebuilt it. Legacy will no longer be a playground for the privileged. It will belong to those who deserve it. Gilbert scoffed, shaking his head. You really think you've won? Pack's smile was quiet, assured. Look around you, Richard. The world is changing. You just refuse to see it. Gilbert said nothing. Instead, he turned and stalked toward the stables, his face dark with rage. Unable to accept defeat, he grabbed a knife from his pocket and began slashing the bridles, severing the leather straps one by one. His breath was ragged, his hands shaking. Then, without warning, one of the stallions reared up. A powerful kick struck Gilbert square in the stomach. He let out a strangled gasp as he was lifted off his feet, flying nearly 2 meters before crashing against the stable wall. The commotion drew stable workers running. Call an ambulance, someone shouted. Minutes later, paramedics arrived, loading Gilbert onto a stretcher. As he was carried away, groaning in pain, Pack watched in silence. Outside, Pack's son, Jun Ho, stood near the polo field. He caught his father's eye and nodded. It was time. Pack stepped forward, exhaling slowly. Legacy isn't dead, Richard, he murmured. It's just that it was your version. The club, once built on exclusion, would now rise on the foundation of fairness, and there was no one left to stop it. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.